Alright, hello gamers, Muckluck here, and today we're going over a little thoughts video on Windrose. I am about 34 hours into it. Yes, I've got 34 hours into the early access so far, and I wanted to share my thoughts with you and maybe help you decide if this is something you would be interested in. So, Windrose is a survival RPG. A lot of people have been calling it like Valheim but Pirates or Enshrouded but Pirates. I think the Enshrouded but Pirates thing is the closer description to it. If you really liked Enshrouded, you might love this. Now, what's different about it from Enshrouded? Enshrouded was a game based in fantasy. There was, magic and, stuff like that. This is pirates. There is curse stuff. So if you ever saw the Pirates of the Caribbean, there was like, undead pirates. You do find some zombies and cursed treasure and stuff like that, but you're not shooting fireballs out of your hands. You are a pirate. Now, right now, I don't look like a pirate. I am wearing some armor from a conquistador because I like the stats on it. So that's why I appear like this. But you do start off looking like a pirate. So let's go over some bullet points. First off, the game setting. The game setting is essentially like the Pirates of the Caribbean. You're on a chain of islands, and you are there is story. It doesn't just like drop you in here. The opening tutorial, and I'm not going to spoil anything past the first couple of minutes. In the opening, you are on a ship and you get woken up and it's under attack, and Blackbeard Teach, the legendary Blackbeard, shoots you dead after a tutorial happens, and then you somehow survive because of a curse, and you wash up on an island. Actually, right here. You wash up here, because I built my base right where you wash up. And you are then left to fend for yourself. There are NPCs you occasionally come across that are mostly bothered by Blackbeard, and they want to help you fight back, because Blackbeard is kind of taking control of the whole area. He's got ships all over the place patrolling, and you're helping these people in Tortuga and other factions try to survive. So that's the game setting. What's the gameplay like? Like Enshrouded, honestly, the first 2 hours of the game are spot on like Enshrouded. You start off, you pick up some pieces of wood and stone off the ground, you make like a mining pick, you make an axe, then you can chop down trees, you can mine rocks, you use those materials to build like a crafting table, you use the crafting table to make a weapon table, you use that to make a better weapon or repair your current stuff, things like that. So it is spot on Enshrouded or Valheim gameplay for the first couple of hours. After that, you get a quest to build a ship. And once you get a ship, and that is not the first ship you build, that is just a ship. Once you get a ship, the whole thing changes. You are able to fight on the seas. You are able to, get in ship-to-ship battles against enemies. Like, there are 2 enemy ships that are barely in sight way out there. Right there, I could go fight them. You've got cannons on the front, the left, and the right of the boat. You've got repair packs that you can try to use in combat if there's a good moment for them. When you get an enemy ship below, they're dead in the water, and you can choose to just sink them with cannonballs or board them and do hand-to-hand combat. And if you lose everything. But if you win, you get more loot because less of it sinks to the bottom of the ocean. And I've seen a lot of people say that the combat of the ship-to-ship stuff is very reminiscent of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I didn't play that game, but they're coming out with a remake soon. But if you were a fan of that, you might like this for that reason. So the gameplay on land, very similar to most other survivals. In terms of weaponry, you've got 2-hand weapons, like I've got this giant 2-hand sword at the moment, and there's also like clubs and maces, and you've got 1-hand weapons. I've got a rapier right now, which can stab. There's sabers, clubs, and you can have guns, as pirates. So I've got a pistol in my left hand right now. So you can use a 1-hand weapon and a pistol, or you can use a 2-handed firearm like a musket or a blunderbuss, which is basically a shotgun, if you wish to do so. When you get enough XP, which XP in this game is very slow, you level up and you will get talent points that you can spend on a talent tree, and you will get stat points which you can spend anywhere you want. Weapons will all scale with either strength, agility, or precision. Currently in the game, they get a very small amount of damage from putting points here, and even if you do put points there, appears to be a soft cap of like 20, whereas vitality and endurance is stamina, vitality is hit points. Those seem to always be good, so I've just dumped a lot of points there, and rather than using like all weapons that are precision or all weapons that are strength, I'm using a mixed bag just depending on the situation. I didn't go all in on one, and that works for me. Difficulty. At the beginning of the game, your first opponents are boars, crabs, and dodo birds, and they will freaking kill you. At the beginning, in your starting equipment, the boars and the dodo birds, I think, can kill you in 2 hits. That you very quickly learn you need to dodge sometimes, you need to block sometimes, and you need to parry, which is just a perfect block sometimes. So you very quickly you need to get the hang of it. Like my first strategy that I came up with was basically 2 light attacks, dodge backwards, repeat until the boars die. They were very tough early game. I welcomed the challenge. I was fine with it. Occasionally, now I'm 34 hours in, and I have encountered, I think, 2 or 3 big bosses. Like on foot in an arena bosses. Like, it almost felt like a Souls-like boss, but not quite that tough. So there are some challenging encounters. You know, you do have food buffs, you've got potions, you've got bandages, stuff like that to help you get through it. Food buffs in this game are kind of like Valheim. If you don't use them, you don't starve to death. If you do use them, they give you increased stats and health for the duration until they run out. So, you know, that's how the food system works if you fancy that. Graphics, I mean, you can see it, especially like when you're out on the ocean and the waves are turning, is gorgeous. The game looks fantastic. Sound design, the music is pretty good. It's kind of just like a soft background thing most of the time, but if you get in combat, it really picks up. When you're on the sea and another ship aggroes you, it really picks up, and it's like you immediately know, like, okay, something's locked onto me. What's going on? You're turning your camera around trying to find it. Additionally, the sea shanties. Lots of people love the sea shanties. When you're driving your big ship around, if you hit the B button, the boys all start singing sea shanties, and everybody seems to love that.
With them we'll spend our hard-earned pay. Good morning, ladies all. We'll swing around, we'll have good fun with a heave-ho-ho.
Good quality of life. When you are at a merchant, and you are buying stuff, you can see how much of it you already have in most cases. There are some merchants that doesn't work on. However, I would, this is the earliest version of Early Access. I assume that they are going to fix that, but it's really, really good. Crafting stations pull from storage from the beginning of the game. So in Shrouded, they had their magic chests. In this game, everything's a magic chest. From the very beginning of the game, anything that is in your storage, if you go to a crafting table, like this is alchemy, it will pull from the storage. Fantastic. And a pretty long range too. Like my warehouse is way over there. It doesn't really have to be close. It just kind of has to be in the same zip code. It's not bad at all. Building, click and drag. So in this game, if you want to build something, so like if let's say I'm making a wall here, right? I can do this, and it's very easy to make a lot of wall. Right? And you can do that with floors, ceilings, walls, whatever. So that's really nice. The building system makes it pretty easy to take something and expand it. Like if I wanted this warehouse to be larger, I could just, remove the back of it, and I could just like extend all the sections of it and make the building like much longer if I wish to. So I think that's quite good. After seeing that, it's like, oh man, I would love to have that in other games as well. Now, what does it not have? It is early access. It's not perfect. What would I like them to add? The tutorials were great until I got my ship. When I got my ship, they were not so good. And I want to show you a couple of quick tips right here. When you are on your ship, you run up to the cannons, and it's like, oh, I can use the cannon. Okay, cool. And so in my first ship-to-ship combat, I was constantly running between the steering wheels and the cannons to fire them. Until someone in chat told me, just stay at the steering wheel, look in the direction of the cannons you want to use, and hold right-click, and you can fire them while you're driving the boat. So that was a complete game changer. It never tells you that. So that's me telling you that, and also it should tell you that. The next thing is the ship has storage, right? You can walk up to the ship and hit Q and access that storage. Or if you are on land, which of course I fell in the water. So if you are on land and your ship is nearby, by the way, if it's not nearby, you just hit K and you say recall ship and it will pop to you, even if you like left it at the other end of the world or something. As long as it's nearby, you can hit I and go to flagship, and here's your ship's inventory, and you can take stuff from it and put it in your bag and vice versa as long as it's nearby. Again, that was a complete game changer, and it never tells you that during the tutorial. Fast travel in this game, there is this thing called fast travel points that is made with these bells. You can have up to 10 bells on the map. Now, some points have fast travel points. Like if you find a town, it will show you, it'll have its own fast travel point. So you don't have to use up a bell there. But you can use the bells to travel quickly to any other bell, and you can travel from your ship quickly to any other bell. So like if I'm in my little raft here, I could just say teleport to this spot and it'll just fade to black, and then I'm at the bell again. So you can use, like if you are on an island, you can just go to the nearest shoreline, summon your ship, hop on it, and snap back to your home if you desire to do so. It is not like Valheim, where you can't take, certain materials through teleporters. It is not like V Rising with the same thing. It lets you carry whatever you want through the bells. What other things would I like? Additional hotbars. You can see at the bottom of my screen right now, I have got one hotbar with 8 slots on it. That is perfectly fine for like the first 20 hours, and then it's suddenly not enough. Like my logging axe is not on it, my shovel is not on it. I would like to have additional hotbars I could swap between. Would be nice. Sign types. In Valheim, the signs you put on your storage, you can like write on them. You can write words. In this game, there's icons. And it's cool. Like I got no hate for the icons. They're pretty neat. However, you're limited to these. So, like, for example, this box here has everything related to cloth and leather. I couldn't find a sign for that, so I don't have it labeled. I would like to have more sign options, including the ability to just write a word, if possible. But the signs are good, just, it could be better. It could be better. And the last thing I would love for them to change that I am going to tell you as a tip is when you start the game out, you start with a saber. It's a one-handed sword. This is not a saber, but it's close enough for this demonstration. When you right-click, you block. If you just tap it, it's a perfect block if you do it at the right moment. Blocking uses up posture, which are those shields at the bottom of the screen. So if I block 3 hits in a row, my posture breaks and I'm stunned for a second. If I perfect block, it uses up nothing. And of course, dodging is an option, but dodging uses up stamina. You can see the stamina to the left of my character's head right now. The saber at the beginning can parry. Not all weapons can. So if you get in combat with your axe that you use to chop trees, it cannot parry. It can block, but it cannot parry. There's a halberd. As far as I could tell, it couldn't parry. Anything blunt I've found so far, like maces and clubs, they cannot parry. But bladed weapons seem to be able to, other than the halberd. So saber, two-handed sword, rapier, they can all parry. So if you are in a situation where you're like, oh my god, I love this halberd so much, remember, you need to rely on your dodging and your blocking, not your parry, because it can't, as far as I can tell. Now, I would like for them, if they're going to keep that system, fine. I would like for them to list on the item, cannot parry. Because I died a few times trying to parry with weapons in the early game before I found out they can't. And I was just like, okay, all right, that was a hard lesson learned, but certain ones just cannot. That was a hard lesson learned. Another thing about the comfort system in this game. There is a buff, it is behind my camera right now, it's this guy. That buff, you have drastically increased stamina regen. This is similar to the comfort thing in Enshrouded. So you don't neglect that. When you're at your home base, you're going to want to slam down some decorations. They don't stack in each category, so like one thing from seats, one thing from tables, one thing from shelves, one thing from wardrobes, etc. Except for trophies. You can have all the trophies, one trophy of every type. And it says on there, if you look over on the right-hand side near the bottom, it says comfort bonuses in this category do not stack. So one thing from each thing, and once it's up enough, like at this point, I have like 25 minutes of the rested buff, I think. So if I go out on an adventure, I have the crazy stamina regen for 25 minutes. Also, it will be on your ship too. So if you're out and about and you just go to the shoreline and you just summon your ship and you just head over to your ship and you get up here, you will refresh the rested buff. It's equal to your home. And while you're letting it refresh, you can go in here and just like, okay, put all this on the ship and then go back on the island. And, it's like you're ready for another adventure until your ship is full. So that's wonderful as well. Do the cannons take ammo? No, they do not. You can go crazy with the cannons. They do not take ammo. They do reload. The UI in the middle of the screen there, you can see them reloading right now. There is 2 types of ammo at the bottom of the screen. The second one is 2 cannonballs chained together. It does almost no damage at all. I believe the design there is for destroying enemy sails, and it slows down their boat. However, they repair the sails in very short time. It doesn't even seem worth doing. But that's how it is right now. It probably needs a buff if they're going to do that. But that's it. That's my feedback on Windrose. I almost said Enshrouded because I've said it so many times during this thing. That's my feedback on Windrose after 35 hours. It is wonderful. If you like this type of game, it is very solid. In 35 hours, I've hit like 1 bug. It is an incredibly solid early access. It is not like riddled with bugs or anything like that. I have found rare glitches and a few things that I, wish they'd done better. I forgot to say it. This game is single player or co-op. with other people. It is not PvP, but I really enjoy it. I do recommend it if you like this genre, and I do recommend it now. Of course, you can wait and they'll add more to the game. Nothing wrong with that. I don't have a referral link, not trying to sell you this, just letting you know it's already a great game to play if you fancy it. And that's it. If you got any questions, problems, thoughts, concerns, leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll fight you there.
With Paul and Meg and Sally too, with a heave-ho home. Oh, we'll drink and dance with a hullabaloo. Good morning, ladies all. So a long goodbye to all you dears, with a heave-ho home.